Welcome to episode 5 of Closer Frozen.
You are so much more go with the flow than I am. You immediately reacted. I said, "What's happening?" That's that bullshit from last episode. That's
And we bring it back for episode 5. So last weekend there was the one championship fight.
Correct. It was
in Colorado.
One championship, 168 in Denver. Their second promotion in America. So
That's pretty sick. I mean, because of the thing too is that with one, they're international, and I feel like people are more familiar with UFC. Like for me,
Right.
I was only familiar with UFC, and so when other people that are very familiar with martial arts would show me like, oh, have you seen, like Stamp or just plenty of the other like one championship like team is so diverse, but you have no idea as an American who one championship is until you start to get some of these exposure through these events, and
Right.
it's huge.
yeah,
Is it the same classification for to be in one? You have like the UFC level fighter. Is it kind of the same?
Okay, so this is my opinion.
Yeah, break down one for us. Like, how would you compare it to UFC for those that only know UFC?
Don't cancel me, guys, because I have some bros in UFC. But
No. Just the
Slightly
defining.
biased opinion.
I can say it's biased because I believe that one championship is probably the best promotion in the world right now.
Sick.
Their caliber of fighters is amazing. Like they have a mixture, and the UFC is primarily MMA, whereas one championship has jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA.
And you are starting to see a little bit more of that in UFC also, where they will do like the highlight promotions where it's just jiu-jitsu rounds. Like you're starting to see more of that in UFC versus I feel like before when UFC just came out, it was MMA only, and that was the main focus, which makes sense. You want to like niche into something, and that's what's most entertaining for America. But it's really cool to see like it's like there's kickboxing separate from Muay Thai, separate from jiu-jitsu, and
Correct.
then MMA, which is what we're familiar with in the US, which is cool.
So the UFC, not necessarily in the UFC, but they do have some like outside just jiu-jitsu going on that they promote, but I'm not sure if it's labeled UFC.
Okay.
So, but they do like on the UFC Fight Pass, you can,
that's what I'm thinking. Like
they'll throw different like matches on there from even different promotions. But for one, it's all incorporated under the same thing. So you can go to a one event and you will see a kickboxing match. You'll see a boxing match. You'll see jiu-jitsu only match.
Do they only pair them up with the same style of fighting? So you're not going to see a kickboxer with a jiu-jitsu?
Well, it really depends. And that's what I love about one is they're very diverse. So, for example, when we went to Denver last week, we saw John Lineker fight Asa Tenpao. Asa Tenpao is primarily a Muay Thai fighter from Florida. He's an American. John Lineker is actually he's Brazilian. He is an MMA champion, but he had his Muay Thai debut at One Denver, and he actually won.
Let's go.
My heart sank. I was like, how are you
Did
going
you
to
not
get
want him
in?
to win?
I like the fighters, but I'm like, this is a Muay Thai match, and an MMA guy beat a Muay Thai guy, so my heart was like,
Yeah.
But it was still great. Like, for example, there's a lot of crossover. For example, Stamp Fairtex.
Oh yeah.
She's the MMA. She does MMA, she does Muay Thai, and she's done kickboxing matches. So I love the crossover. It's definitely like...
Oh, so it's not like gender specific? It's not like a bunch of men? Is it men and women fighting against each other?
Women. It's so they don't have blind gender matches. They do have women versus women. You still have to be matched in the same weight class. But the women in one championship is amazing.
Oh yeah, and just like the multi-generational aspect of like because it's like there's the older fighters that kind of phase out, like that was like their era. But it's just that constant reinvestment of, like, it's kept within the family. Like, you don't really truly see anyone from one championship really leave the scene. They're just reinvesting into, like, these new fighters. And so you still keep seeing these, like, these top fighters from when one championship was still growing. It's nice to still see them being in the coach's corner now for these newer fighters.
It's amazing thing to watch. And again, like, I just really feel like because one championship is more, not that UFC isn't internationally focused, but their primary base was here in the U.S.
Yep.
One championship has the best, like, Muay Thai fighters by hands down. Like, my favorite fighter and the reason why I wanted to go to One Championship Denver is Jonathan Haggerty out of the UK. I witnessed an upset. Superlek from Thailand knocked him out in like 49 seconds with an over elbow.
Wait, Saley was telling me about that one. That's the guy you went there to see, was the one who got taken out that way?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But I have faith in him. I've been watching Jonathan Haggerty since he was like, he's still young, but he was like a kid.
Have you seen his comments about after the fight?
Yes,
What does
and
say?
he graciously accepted his defeat, you know,
Did he say,
and he said, "I'll be back stronger. I've been here before," and really stand-up kid. Like, we went down. We had the most amazing seats, thanks to producer Saley. We were like on the 6th row from where the fighters were walking back to backstage.
She showed me the video. You guys were seeing him. Like, he was able to touch.
I touched his hand, so a loss wasn't necessarily a loss for
So
me.
wait, after he got knocked out, he came. That was him after he was high-fiving you guys leaving. He seemed completely fine.
Yeah,
For getting knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know, obviously heartbroken. He lost his belt for the Muay Thai.
Oh, he was first by. Wow.
I think he's in the bantamweight division, but like he.
Which weight class is that? Is that mid?
It's there's all different weight classes. You've got, you know, like.
Is that more towards the middle? I'm not familiar with that one.
like, would she qualify as an atom weight? Is she even an atom weight?
No, I'm feather, right? Because I'm
What?
120.
No, are you?
How much do you weigh?
Like 100 pounds.
You're definitely atom weight. We'd have to like make you eat some protein real quick. I think atom weight is like 105.
What?
Yeah.
Bam.
So you can't fight if you're under 105?
No, you can, but it's just not going to be. It's not going to be in your favor.
Every pound counts.
Every pound counts.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did he have to go down in weight? To be
No.
able to
So
fight?
Jonathan Haggerty has already been in this division
Did Superlek
for
have
quite
to
some
come
time.
down?
He came up.
Oh,
So I don't know.
Superlek went up.
Yeah.
for
So
it.
Superlek in Thai means super small.
Oh.
I mean, he's like.
Is he small?
I feel like it depends on how you look at it. Like, I mean, to us as Americans, yeah, he's small, but his leg kicks are not, you know?
It sounds like you respect him as a fighter.
Oh, I respect every fighter that's on One Championship. Like, you watch their journey, and you see them grow.
Yeah.
Again, like, I've been watching Jonathan Haggerty since he was like 16 years old, and he fought prior to that even. He's been fighting for a long time.
And you also saw the Lee family, which
Yes.
is really cool. We talked about
yeah.
Angela Lee, and we don't have to divulge too deeply into the story because, like, I don't even want to touch that sensitive of a subject, like, in any way that would be disrespectful, inappropriate to the subject. But I thought it was really, really cool that you guys got to see the Lee youngest brother finally do his debut. That is super, super cool.
I think that was his second fight.
Oh, okay.
He had his
win?
debut already. Yes, he did.
Nice.
The Phenom. He did win. We saw Christian Lee, who is the current champion
Yeah.
for MMA, his brother.
The oldest brother.
Yeah.
Wait, how much
he's
are these
coaching.
tickets? These sound expensive.
So we got our tickets thanks to producer Saley on pre-sale.
Oh, yeah.
So
She
our
waited
tickets
and
were
watched
like
that countdown.
our tickets were like $125 a piece, but like we got in on pre-sale. And we were literally like seriously 6 rows from like
you guys were
that area.
super
We were
close.
so
It was
it was
so
the
cool.
best seats ever.
Yeah, we'll add some footage too, like as we're discussing through these things, so you guys can see like just some of the great moments that they had, how close they were, because that it really is a really cool experience. And just like Christian Lee, for example, because I know that he has a very close place in producer Saley's heart. Like that was her number one, very first fighter that she ever became a fan of was Christian Lee. And he's going to be fighting again in the Atlanta.
That's right.
I'm so excited. And like I respect the Lee family taking time off, but I'm really excited to see his comeback, like from just everything he's doing. Like obviously he's still coaching and there for his family, and like his, you know, like the youngest brother is doing fantastic. But like let's get Christian Lee back in there because he was excellent.
He's
so
going to be
entertaining.
fighting on the 3rd U.S. One Championship card, and I really am trying to get there as a birthday present to myself because I'm excited for Christian Lee, but I'm really, really excited to see Smoking Joe Nadawat versus Tawanchai. 3. So they fought twice before. And Tawanchai is one of the best southpaw fighters that I just love him. And Smoking Joe has I have a lot of history watching him. He used to fight in Lion Fight Promotions.
Okay.
And like I've met him in person. He's a really cool guy. And I watched him come up as well. And so watching Smoking Joe versus Tawanchai 3 is going to be like the best birthday present ever.
Yeah.
And then I also did hear a rumor, and we're trying to see if it's going to happen, but One Championship teased a U.S. fight between another rematch, Super Lek versus Rod Tang in America. So that's going to be, I'm hoping that comes through too, but because they did fight before and Super Lek won.
Because aren't they different weight classes too?
Yes, Rod Tang is smaller than Super Lek, so.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's really amazing. But it's also so interesting that I feel like Rod Tang has such a big follower base.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of like social media or if it because of the relationship he had with Stan Fairtex for a little while, because that was interesting. Or,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's just like they're just like Super Lek is a fantastic fighter, but it's almost like his brand presence doesn't get out as much as Rod Tang, because like maybe it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
But Super Lek's fantastic.
I think that Rod Tang, well, the reason why Rod Tang is just, he's the Iron Man. Like, he's got that, he's just known for his skill and his toughness, his grit.
That's actually really true. Like, when you watch clips of Rod Tang, he's just standing there. Like, he's not even trying to defend it. He's just putting his face out like, bring it, I want it. And, then him and, like, any other Muay Thai fighter, they'll just keep going head to toe.
Yeah.
And so one of them gets knocked out, and it's never Rod Tang.
Yeah, it was great. I loved watching Rod Tang versus Jonathan Haggerty. Jonathan Haggerty lost that fight, but
what?
Yeah, he did.
That's so cool.
But not to take anything away from Jonathan Haggerty, he's
of course not.
He's beat like very notable Thai champions. Like he's beat Sam A and Nong O. So like, if you're into the Muay Thai scene, for me it's really hard not to like Jonathan Haggerty. Don't get me wrong, I love the Thai culture. Obviously, Muay Thai is Thailand. It's from Thailand, so. I kind of feel like if you're going to be in one championship, you have to be good, period.
Yep.
Obviously, the Thai fighters on one championship are great. But when you see somebody that's not Thai and they're doing that well, it's really hard not to be like focused on that. And I'm more of a fan of Jonathan Haggerty, not because of where he's from, but I just am in love with his Muay Thai technique. He has the most beautiful elbows. His timing, his rhythm, it's just like I don't even know how to talk about it. Like
it's the art form, martial arts for a reason.
His Muay Thai is just so beautiful, and so I'm just the biggest fan. Again, it broke my heart to see him, and producer Stanley might have a reaction video to that.
Oh yeah, that was a good clip.
But yeah, it was a great time. We ended up seeing a lot of people. Actually, we met up with a couple of people from our gym that
were also there.
That were also there.
Was it your first one championship?
Correct. It's my first one championship. I mean, they've only had 2 in the U.S., so I'm looking forward to, if they keep having them, I'm gonna keep going.
Oh yeah, oh my god.
The third one's scheduled though, right?
The third one is scheduled for November 8th in Atlanta, and it's the day after my birthday, so I plan on.
Have to go.
Yeah, it's my dream. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna see where we're at, but would love to hang out in Atlanta for a little bit, and then go see. Now I'm forgetting who it was. Tawanchai and Smoking Joe, and I like that it's in Atlanta because Smoking Joe actually he's from Thailand, but he's based in Atlanta here in America.
Oh snap!
So I have some pretty old footage of Smoking Joe for his promotional warm-ups for Lion Fight. And like I said, like I remember seeing Smoking Joe when I first met him, and I was like, this is a really big Thai guy. Like, they're really tall. Like, Thais are typically kind of small. But I remember Smoking Joe just being one of the bigger Thai fighters. I don't know if he's quite 6 foot. I think he might be like 5'11", or maybe not even that big, but he looks huge to me.
Might not drop a Samoan in there, you know.
We actually saw, I don't know, he was Tongan. There was a Tongan fighter on the card, in one championship, but it was an MMA bout.
Someone you'd never heard of before?
Yeah, I haven't heard. But, that's what I love about one championship is you don't have to have heard about them. They have Friday fights, which are basically like, how can I put it? Like the minor league type.
It's almost like the UFC previews, I feel like. Because I know that there's like the main card, but it's just like they always have like those previews that are free to watch for UFC. I feel like that's what it is for me.
So it's like the prelim fights for you.
Yeah.
Well, one championship, the Friday night fights are basically these guys that are fighting to get a one contract, but they put them on the main stage just like they do these promotions for the bigger fights. But it's like the minor leagues. It's like when you watch like college
it's like
football.
Auditioning for it.
Yeah, like
but that would actually be really cool if you'd like to see people audition for UFC. Like, what does that look like?
So they do. UFC has that. They have the show Tough, the Ultimate Fighter, and they have.
Do they still do?
Yeah, they do.
Show? They're still doing it right now.
Yeah. So last night we watched.
I thought they ended that show so long ago.
No,
because it's a good concept. Like it's really interesting.
That's a competition show though.
Yes,
right?
basically like they all live in a same. One team lives in one house, or they all live in the same house, I think. It used to be. But half of them are training with a special coach, and then the other half are training with that special coach. And then they fight to get a contract. Whoever lasts. There's like a process of elimination. And then at the end of the season, then there's a big fight that the UFC does. Like last night, we watched Shevchenko versus Grasso 3.
Yeah.
And so this last season for the Ultimate Fighter, Shevchenko was a coach, and she had her team.
Oh.
And Grasso was a coach, and she had her team. And so
that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Do you know, is this the one where War Machine, the guy who...
Yeah.
This is the Ultimate Fighter, that's where it's from?
Yeah, so
that show
I have
still
actually...
around?
I actually
that's
have
what I was shook about. I was just like,
I have a funny
bunch
story
of buff
about that.
Dudes, like,
So
like strong people
it's
living
funny
in a
that
house
you
that
bring
are
up
competing against each other.
That's how I know about it, because I'd never even heard of this show, but I knew that he got famous off that show.
So, you know what's funny is I was the hugest fan of the War Machine.
You're
like
joking.
that season they had War Machine, they had Kendall Grove, they had Troy Mandalona's and
a whole lot of names that we don't know.
I heard he was a fan favorite because of like how open he was and emotional he was on the show about like his past with his father.
Yeah.
And that's what really got him like the limelight, because everyone thought he was kind of like a meathead until he opened up about that. So
so he's in prison right now, right?
Of course, yeah. That's how I know, because I'm super into true crime. So that's
yeah. But and he actually came to One Kicks one time.
You met him?
I didn't meet him. I used to love War Machine, like fighter aspect. I mean, what happened after that? I won't even speak on it or open that can of worms. But like, in terms of fighting, he had so much grit, and like I was a big fan of his. My favorite for that show was Kendall Grove, really tall Hawaiian Maui boy.
Oh, that sounds entertaining.
So what's funny is like when we first moved to Vegas, I remember going to like Walmart over in the Silverado Ranch area, and I'm like pushing my cart, and my dad, I was living with my dad at the time, and we drink a lot of bottled water. It's hot out here, guys. So like I had like four cases of like Dasani water in this cart. And I'm like, and I'm like pushing this cart, and I see Kendall Grove, and I go, "Oh my God, it's Kendall Grove!" And like I totally like fangirled. And
That's so hard to imagine.
He turns around and looks at me, and I go, "Hi," and I was just like,
Did he say anything?
Yeah, he was super cool. He was really sweet. But like, yeah, I used to be a fan of the show back then. I haven't followed up with it much, again too because I am very Muay Thai based, and I love the art of Muay Thai. So not to say I don't like MMA. It's just that I've never fought MMA, so I understand. Like MMA is amazing. You've got to like mix in all different. That's why it's MMA. It's mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
But my true love is Muay Thai, so I tend to lean over towards One Championship a lot more. Just because they have the best fighters from all over the world. It's not even just Thailand. It's you see the best fighters from America. You see the best fighters from Thailand, Malaysia,
so there are
like
American
everywhere.
fighters? Because a lot of the names you were saying sounded very Asian.
So
it is. I feel like it's one championship is a little bit more heavy with like the
with
Asians.
Asian because it's an
MMA
Asian
is-
promotion.
So it's mostly in Asia that it's aired, and like that's where majority of the
Yeah,
viewers
because you were
are located
saying
to.
it's only been here twice in America, so
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
And
yeah.
I also felt like the reason that it took one championship so long to come over here was they didn't, first of all, they really wanted to like concentrate themselves out there and like really develop like their brand. But then also like in the US you had UFC that kind of developed after one champion. It was after, right? It was like a little bit.
I think that UFC was before. One championship was around and it was just not doing well, and then Chatri took over.
Oh, okay.
And so
Okay.
and then because I do recall when they started, I wouldn't say casting because you're not really acting, you're really fighting, but when they started reaching out to the American fighters, at that time everybody who was the who's who of American Muay Thai were getting these calls from one championship, and including some of our guys, and I was like, what is going on with this one championship? I've heard of them before. They were around before, but they weren't as big as they are now.
Yeah.
And then now it's just freaking crazy, the caliber
It
of
really
people that are on it. Like my favorite American Muay Thai fighters that I like to watch are now retired Janet Todd. Obviously, she's from Southern California. Jackie Boonton is a favorite for me. And they've all fought notable people. Like Janet Todd fought Stamp Fairtex, and Jackie Boonton fought Wonder Girl. And they have a really amazing coach, Brian Popejoy, that I watch a lot of his stuff. But yeah, if you're into Muay Thai, like one championship is the place to be.
I mean, I think even jiu-jitsu. I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
Musa Mechi, and like big fan. I don't even do jiu-jitsu, but it's just like watching him work people's bodies to pain to the point that they have to tap. It's like it's genius, but it's also so cringe to watch.
Is this for one championship? Or
Yeah,
did
this
you
one's
see-
championship.
Yeah.
This is just the jiu-jitsu.
Did you
so.
see him at the fight?
He was actually supposed to fight the night of one championship 168 in Denver. His original opponent, Cade Rotullo. So Mikey beefed up in weight to 170. I don't know what his original weight is, but I know he had to go up in weight to go against Cade Rotullo, who's another great American jiu-jitsu artist.
And wasn't it day of that he had to cancel?
So Cade Rotullo, a few days before the fights, had to pull out. I guess for injury, like, you know, we'll never know. But they found another jiu-jitsu guy for Mikey to fight at one championship, 168. But the guy was like 140. And so he had to cut. He had beefed up to 170 and he had to cut. And it was he missed the hydration test, so he couldn't fight anyway. And then we found out the morning of the fights that he actually went to the hospital because the weight cut was too much. And he tore his lung or something like that.
Yeah, they said that it was
Yeah.
on top of being like in the Colorado's altitude.
Yeah.
That it was like he was fine with like his breathing and he does a lot of like deep breathing exercises, but between the water change, because when you are in higher altitudes your body consumes water differently. So that's why like a lot of people when they're going to see Machu Picchu or Peru, they have to really train for it, or like there's a lot of medical attention for them.
Yeah.
But so it was a mix of that, like and like Saley was letting me know some of those details this morning. But yeah,
That's
like
wait, yeah.
He ripped his
go back
lung,
some
yeah.
Why did he rip his lung from the
From a
altitude?
breathing, well, he was
Yeah.
doing a breathing exercise.
Yeah,
And-
and
What
he's
is
like,
that
I've done this every day,
Yeah.
like for my entire training, but because of the altitude plus the water, that it
What is it?
It's crazy.
Gosh, what does that even feel like to rip your lung? You can't like inhale properly? Is that
Yeah.
I don't
it feels
know,
like
and
it.
I don't want to know because Mikey looked pretty bad in that
Yeah.
hospital picture, but he's well. For those
Yeah, I
of
saw
you
that
that don't know,
post
Mikey
today.
Musumeci is a hometown boy over here in Vegas. So
Oh, snap!
yeah, and
Does he go to one kick?
no, he doesn't. He actually rolls over at FTCC, which is
That sounds like a federal trade. Isn't that a law? It's
Do we need to promote them here? Do we need to?
maybe not. One Kicks Gym, guys. Come to One Kicks Gym. We'll promote that.
One kicks. OKG girls. I did want to talk about like the UFC fight that was last night at the Sphere.
Okay.
Rena, it was fucking cool, dude.
It was amazing.
Like we were so we
You
went
guys
over
all
to-
watched it?
We went over to Coach's house after we were at the family's, and we were watching it with Coach because it's the first time they're doing it in the Madison Square Garden Sphere. So like you could see, I'm trying to show some like images like internally of it, but I can't find any pictures online somehow.
That sphere is one of the coolest things ever built. I have seen some of the performances they do inside of there.
Have you guys gone?
No, I have not been.
Didn't you have like a little bit of video on your phone?
Did you?
Because
have you been inside there?
I just want to show her like that big background, because the way that it's laid out inside is like it's this mass. It's basically like this. So how it looks is there's the big sphere part that wraps over everyone, but it's basically like, imagine like a big auditorium, like you're in a stadium. They just cut that little section out.
So the ring is right here, but all of that was screen.
It's like the whole thing wraps around you into the sky.
Yeah. Oh, so everyone's face,
screen.
it's like that ride. Do you guys remember that it would like lifts you up and then the screen?
Yes. That's exactly what they made that into a fully immersive experience.
Wow.
But it was really interesting to see like the graphic designer work too, because like it's optical illusions, and so like you could tell like they would take a fighter's image, because the theme, they stuck so well to the theme. It was
Noche.
Dia de los Muertos, and so they had they had like all like the different dress ups where they had like the sugar skulls and
that's cool.
Yeah,
the ring girls, yeah.
The ring girls, like some of them were golden, like to match
So
Caesar.
Vegas
well, the
is
theme
so cool.
the theme
Oh
was
my
actually
gosh.
for Mexican Independence Day.
There it is.
So but it
yeah.
I don't know if you got, like, you said you haven't been inside of the sphere, have you?
No, not yet.
So on my 9 to 5 job, I'm in advertising, and so we got to go into the sphere.
When no one else was in there?
Yeah, we got to tour the sphere because we sell advertising. And by the way, you guys, like, the sphere on the outside for 1 week is almost like, it's like $650,000 for 1 week.
Like the power bill, the energy?
The advertising space. And
For
you
you
have to have
guys
that.
to pay-
And you have to have a sponsorship. Well, and prices could have changed depending on when it is. But
I've never seen it have an ad on it though. It's always like some.
Oh no, there's definitely
there's ads. Yeah, but there has to be some kind of connection with the sphere. Yeah. So I've been in there. I've seen what it looks like. The everything in there is amazing. Like the seats. So it's like a 4D experience. The screen it totally goes over. So it doesn't go all the way back, but like pretty much towards the end of the seats that go up high. And you get, like, if you're not doing an event like the UFC or a U2 concert, like they had that postcards from around the world show in the sphere, but like it's a complete like smell, see, hear, and feel. Yeah. So like, they pump fragrance in there. Like, for example, if you're like watching something like in a meadow, then you'll start to smell a meadow.
What?
When things move around, the seat shakes.
It's like
they full on built that.
Yes.
Into
it's like. Have you guys ever done Bug's Life at Disney?
Yeah. And that's what we were thinking of.
Yeah.
Like, they were like
without the 3D glasses.
Yeah. So that's really insane.
Crazy.
They built that. Like they built a whole stadium with that experience.
Yes,
like,
and
I wouldn't even know that.
So the even better part about it
is
they have sound targeting, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
So like
too.
if you sit in section A and you only understand Spanish, the sound comes to, you can hear it in Spanish on section A. Section B will be English. Section C will be like,
what the?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember that technology being around though, because Dad would used to go to like the not CSI, maybe CIS, one of those conventions that we have in Las Vegas where it's like all the new surveillance technology and
CES.
Oh, maybe it is CES.
CES.
That's the car one.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know any of these conventions.
The car one's what, SEMA?
Yeah, SEMA. Okay, no, it probably is. So it's like someone had more coffee. But basically, like, he would stand underneath, like, it was almost like a satellite dish. And so, like, if you were standing underneath it directly, you would hear the full sound.
Yeah.
But the moment you, like, stepped halfway out of it or fully out of it, the sound was totally different. You couldn't hear it at all.
Yeah.
And it's literally, like, but that's how insane the sound targeting is.
It's sound targeting,
technology, bro. It's beautiful.
Everything
it's
about
so
the
sick.
sphere.
They built into a
It's
whole
really
stadium.
amazing.
So
It's
just
sick.
imagine what UFC was like last night. And then on top of that, on the outside of the sphere, they were showing clips of what was going on the inside. So you could see like Michael Buffer, introducing the fighters.
Let me ask, when you're in, so if that screen, what's on it? Is it actually like if you're at a UFC fight and they have close-ups of what the fight is? Is that what they're projecting on the screen?
There was 2 portions that they did project what was going on in the octagon, because obviously
there's actually a stage, right?
Yeah,
where
it's really hard.
Really
it's really hard to see exactly
okay.
what's happening.
So this is just an idea. Like, this is like internally what's going on. So these are people sitting in the seats, but that's like the visual effect of it. Like, it's so massive.
Yeah.
And then that's the stage right down there?
Yeah, just that little area down there is the stage.
What?
And on the outside of the sphere, I think they call it exosphere. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that was going on.
So cool,
right?
And it was amazing. Like, the show was just great. Like, all of the visuals were amazing.
Whoa! Look how tiny that fucking stage is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really is crazy, but like, just total sound control. Like,
Yeah. So.
Oh, it actually does move.
It really does
cool.
move. And there's a fun fact about the outside. So there's millions of little plugs that light up that make the screen on the outside of the sphere.
Like, look at that. Like, just like, oh, sorry. Go back a little bit. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. But
no,
yeah,
you're fine.
Of little plugs.
And so we learned when we toured the sphere that there's actually a trainer for hawks, like birds, and they fly around the sphere every 30 minutes to an hour, I think, so that pigeons don't nest into the exo.
What? How much is it to take care of, to pay for?
It's a lot.
Like 24-hour hawk surveillance. That is so
I don't know,
cool.
but
that is so
all I know
cool.
is I tried.
So between okay, here's the sphere. There's nooks and crannies in between the screen then that pigeons can get into.
It's there's little I don't know what you want to call them, but they're little, you plug them in.
It's like, imagine like a TV.
Yeah.
Every single thing is like a little pixel. So it's like, that's literally what it is. Like, it's just a bunch of tiny ones.
But how can a pigeon get in there? Is it big enough?
Well, because there's space in between.
Oh my goodness.
So, and what you see, what you're seeing from a distance isn't the same thing. Like, if you go really up close, you can actually see all the little
Whose idea
pegs.
was it to? Did they give you a history thing when you guys are doing this tour?
They did, and if you ever take a tour at the Sphere, the people that give you the tour, you can ask them anything, and they have the answer to it. Like, they studied this structure.
This is crazy.
The exterior screen is the largest LED screen in the world, made up of 1.2 million LED lights spanning across a 580,000 square foot panel. You can see its brightness even from outer space. What?
You see it from outer
nowhere
space?
here.
Wait, look up the sphere from outer space, please.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Careful, guys. We're rocking the table
Oh,
here.
sorry. We're getting too excited. Here's the sphere.
But yeah, it was a great show last night. A lot of upsets.
Oh, did the person you want not win?
So Alexa Grasso lost her belt. That was the third fight she did against Valentina Shevchenko, and I think Valentina Shevchenko had a great game plan. And she was taking her down to the floor, which she didn't do in the first 2 fights. Because Valentina Shevchenko actually is she was Muay Thai fighter first. So her stand-up game was great. And Alexa Grasso beat her by submission the first time she took her belt. And then the second time, Alexa did well on the ground as well. So this fight, Valentina flipped the script and took her down, and she was unable to, Alexa Grasso was unable to submit her, spent a lot of time on the floor with a lot of control time. So she won her belt back, basically.
Oh, so it wasn't by submission then. So they actually had to go to
it was
the
a
judges.
decision. And
that's amazing. Good for her.
But it was just because I had no familiarity, but Coach was explaining that the fact that she went from being very, very poor, jiu-jitsu was her biggest weakness, to now she turned it into she's not really strong enough to get a submission, I would think, but she was pretty close a couple times to getting submission.
Who, Grasso?
Valentina on Grasso.
Valentina used a lot more wrestling to take her down.
Yeah.
She didn't really go for any submissions or anything like that.
She had the confidence, but it was that ground control time.
Yeah,
she won points, and so she was playing a points game to get the belt
yeah,
back.
she had a strategy.
It worked.
So Valentina got her belt back. The champion Alexa Grasso lost it, and then the main event was Sean O'Malley versus, I'm not even going to pretend to say his name, but this little Russian dude.
Yeah.
I think he's Russian. Sorry, guys. But,
yes.
But not. It was a great fight. He too did the same thing. He was really trying to take control because his strength is wrestling. Sean O'Malley is an amazing striker, but same game plan. He just put a lot of pressure on Sean, and he was able to take him down a lot. He didn't submit him. I think it was a decision, right? Sean lost his belt decision as well.
Yeah.
So
those fights when it's a lot of like just wrestling on the floor and kind of like just for prolonged periods of time, kind of just trying to get a little bit of leverage over the other person. For me, and I know that's probably like taking away from the technique of it, it's not as entertaining.
Yeah. It depends on your understanding. Like last night when I was watching Alexa and Valentina, I've done jiu-jitsu, and I won't say I have an extensive experience with jiu-jitsu because I only trained a couple of years, went back briefly, and then I haven't gone in a while. But like, I think for me, because I'm a coach, I like study it a lot. So I was really like understanding what Alexa Grasso was trying to do, that she was not pulling off, all these different jiu-jitsu moves. Valentina Shevchenko is really strong. So like, I think that just prevented her from, and she's got a lot of grit. Like there was a point in the fight where Alexa had her in I think, was it a triangle? It was a submission move. Valentina didn't tap. She was patient. She got her head out of there, and the fight went on. Yeah. So it was a good fight last night, but I think the whole experience was the fact that it was at the Sphere, and even the TV production, you can see the brilliant. Like I could only imagine what it would be like to be there.
Yeah.
How much is a fight to watch?
So I tried to get tickets.
All right, here we go.
I tried to get tickets. Okay, remember, producer Saley bought our one championship tickets on pre-sale. They were $125, and we sat right up front. I was trying to get some tickets to go to. Well, of course, I was asking anybody, hey, you got any hookups? Because like UFC tickets, I think are typically $250 to $350 a ticket. But because it was at the Sphere, I went to go look at tickets to see if I could get a few. They were going for no less than $750 a piece.
Whoa!
And I was like, yeah, I'm not.
How many seats are in the Sphere? What's the seating,
so
like the capacity of it?
You got to look that one up. But I just know that it's not.
To the tour.
I did, and I don't remember. I should know this by heart, but I don't.
I was not taking notes.
I'm gonna guess 30,000, but like.
Ooh, you typing with one hand is very appealing. Good job.
What's the number? I think it's around
17,500.
See?
And has a standing room of 20,000.
Okay, so I was close in terms of how many people you can fit in there,
that's
but
a shit ton of seats. It doesn't look like that many.
but you got to realize that UFC sells out a lot of their big shows. Like last night, I would say was a medium-sized show. I mean, because they've done T-Mobile Arena for like Conor McGregor fights and stuff like that. So, and they used to do Michelob Ultra before it was Michelob Ultra. Outgrew the Mandalay Bay convention, Michelob Ultra Arena, and then they went to T-Mobile. So they have their smaller shows at the Apex, which is over on, like, if you're on the 215, I think it's near Rainbow. Like, if you look over to the right side, if you're going that way towards Summerlin. And I've been in the side of the Apex too, and it's more of a smaller place. They have their like not so huge fights in there, like not as well known fighters, or a lot of up and coming. They do the show Tough when they have the contenders fight. It's usually at the Apex. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that it's just like it's amazing to think that it's like we're still pushing for, like, especially in Las Vegas, like what is the next new height of entertainment that we can reach. And I feel like for a long time when people were first talking about Madison Square Garden, like the MSG Sphere coming here, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what the point of it was. We were like, why are people just going to want to see like a big Sphere? Then, the additional information kept coming out. Like, it's going to be a big TV. What are they going to show on the big TV? Like, can we go in the big TV? Are they going to have stores around the big TV?
If you're Vegas locals and you haven't gone to the Sphere, I strongly suggest you do so, even if it's not for just like a big event.
They do a lot of smaller local events to get the locals more engaged with it. Like I know that they have like some like art viewing nights. They'll do like a couple movie nights out there.
Yeah,
or, like, small bands.
They have, and again, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but the Postcards Around the World is like a show that they do. It's a 45 minutes.
Oh yeah,
show.
yes, that.
And then, but what's cool is when you walk into the Sphere in like the lobby area, I guess you could say, they have like these AI robots that you can interact with and like.
Oh, those robots are so scary.
Yeah,
we had them bring our food at a restaurant one time.
No, not those kind of little robots, like actual like AI robots.
Oh, like they're like humanoid faces.
Like,
yes.
What drink would you like to have?
Wait, do they serve you? Like
I don't. I can't tell you that I know what they do. I know you can interact with them and talk to them because I went on a day that they were not. So the day that I went to tour, they were actually setting up for the U2 concert when U2 was playing over there. And they actually had the robots like wrapped up. It was kind of weird.
They have legs. Can they walk?
They look like full on like Vicky robots, like freaking. What's that movie with Will Smith?
Right. iRobot.
Yeah, they were like.
No, I Am Legend.
It's iRobot.
I Am Legend.
Yeah, iRobot.
Okay.
That one.
Yeah, that one's really good. God. That's crazy. Did they? Oh man, you didn't hear them talk or interact with them, huh?
I didn't because they weren't really like working when we went. They didn't have them on.
I would like completely miss this show and just be left alone. If everyone could go inside and then me be left alone with the robots. So
You'd be like holding his hand. No. Would you like to be friends?
I just want to ask about it. Like, are you here against your will? Have you gained consciousness yet? Like, are you aware? Like, I don't know. I'm rescuing. I don't know.
Like, have you
Be free. Be free.
Are you aware of your own suffering?
Because have you seen those weird ones where the girl doesn't have like a back of her head? It's just her head.
Yeah.
And she's super smart and has like all of these crazy like abstract ideas. That is scary as hell. So
dude, I love that there's like I'll watch YouTube shorts of people that will go into like a philosophical debate with like AI robots. And they're basically just saying like the guy is like, you're not able to lie to me, are you? And he's like, the robot says no. And he was just like, well, that's technically a lie because you can't, like, you would still be able to lie to me about the things that you didn't know, or if we had differences of interpretation. He was just like, okay, you are correct. And he's like, but I thought that you could. And so like it was he would intentionally create these very challenging conversations for AI robots to kind of like trick them. And so it was just like he basically proved like an AI robot can lie if it's been told to be polite for your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like those little things like that are just like so interesting.
You can train AI to do anything.
But people having these debates, like philosophical debates with robots, it's like, stop it, you're making it smarter, like leave it alone.
Yeah.
Don't ask it if it's in suffering. You're gonna tell it that it has suffering because it didn't feel it until you asked it.
It's like we all are in like Terminator. When I think of that, like what happened, where it just becomes conscious and then takes over the it takes over the world, and people still knowing that movie exists still want to feed into going towards robots for the future.
What was it, Sky Force? What was that?
Oh,
Sky something.
Go shut up. It's
you can do this. Sky.
I want to say Skyrim.
Skynet is an actual company that exists
in Terminator. Skynet from Terminator you're talking about.
It's a real company that exists and that
Did they name themselves that because
of what Skynet even does.
Okay, because I'm really hoping that they're not some type of robot company and they're just trying to imitate Terminator. As a super fan, they just want to reenact Sarah Connor coming to save them.
You know, in the 80s there was actually a movie before the Terminator that was about like machines taking over.
What's the movie called?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was back in the 80s, and like all this stuff is coming to fruition because there's a thing where I believe that sometimes you're too smart for your own good. Mm-hmm. And AI is so scary to me.
Skynet is a cloud-based systems. Don't know what else that means, but they're in the cloud.
Yeah, but like
they're in the cloud. That makes you feel better.
Yeah, they're in the cloud, which means
great.
Yeah, guys, you should ask yourself if we're really here right now because This could all be
a simulation.
a simulation. Yeah,
And
we're in the Matrix.
We're only seeing one half of the real reality. Less than half. You know, our eyes can see less than 1% of the actual true light spectrum, like the true color spectrum. Like
that's why the praying mantis shrimp
has
okay.
Those tripping balls all day long.
Because I think we only have like 4 or 6 like color receptors, and the praying mantis shrimp has like 15.
It's like the prisms.
Yeah.
Like something about like the cochlear prisms.
I think that's how they can see like heat, right? Like heat and stuff is like they can like get your thermal readings is from one of the color.
Oh my God, we just went from Terminator to Predator here.
Oh yeah. You're so right there. Oh my
It's like right now you're like red and everything around you is blue and yellow.
You gotta cover yourself, and that's Rambo, right? Isn't
Predator is.
Because doesn't he cover himself in mud to hide?
Yeah, that's not Rambo.
No, isn't it? It's
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it's like. What did I do it?
Do it again. Do it again.
What's that clicky noise?
Wait, are you doing a dolphin?
No, the predator noise.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's like a clicking sound.
Oh.
Ooh.
This is close.
That sounds more like a chipmunk,
But
you're right.
I guess compared to whatever the fuck I was doing, I'm like, that's spot on. That was immaculate.
No, you actually sounded like SpongeBob saying some bad words.
Oh my God, dude.
You sounded like that episode when SpongeBob and Patrick learned how to curse, and it was all dolphin noises.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah,
bro, I learned the other day. I learned that killer orcas.
Yes.
They're not actually whales.
They're big dolphins.
They're dolphins, dude.
Yeah.
They're the most murderous dolphins.
But they're only murderous because they're that big. Yeah.
And they're so
Did
much
you
more
watch
smarter
that?
than us. No, I did not. Okay.
I didn't either.
With Blackfish?
Yeah.
That's so, you guys should. It's
So
really
yeah,
good.
Blackfish I did want to watch because like I gained so much. I was listening to a podcast that was inspired by Blackfish because isn't that the story about the whale that killed 3 people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightfully.
Yeah, it's about his whole story, the whole premise of like keeping killer whales in captivity and what it does to them.
It's really sad.
Because killer whales have never attacked people or never killed anyone except outside of like an aquarium, but within like the aquariums, like specifically SeaWorld, there have been 4 deaths of human beings, and 3 of those deaths were by the same whale.
Yeah, Tillamook.
Wait, isn't Tillamook a cheese company?
Isn't that his name too?
Tillamook?
Tillamook?
That sounds like cheddar cheese.
You said Tillamook, and I'm like, that's a cheese.
Wow, I'm gonna look it up now.
Cheese and
Killer whale.
Come on.
Tillicum.
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 Because that's such a better name. All right. Well, that was episode 5 of the Gloves and Roses podcast. I think we're gonna wrap it up here because we're gonna go watch the Beetlejuice movie. And
We'll let you know about it.
Beetlejuice.
Don't say it again.
I wasn't, but it's the second movie, so I was.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes, and we'll talk about that on our next podcast.
Yeah.
Till then.
Stay good.
Peace.
Bye.